Hey there, Kelly here from sexybagsandShoes.com. I've been watching infomercials, sadly, because I don't sleep. And lately I've noticed that there are a lot of infomercials for airbrush makeup. And they've always got, all these great little people that have done the airbrush makeup, and they've got these great testimonials. But I've kind of noticed that there aren't very many dark chocolate women in those infomercials. So I've been playing with an airbrush for quite some time. I've got several different airbrush makeups here. I'm no makeup guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I do airbrush my foundation. So I've gone through Dinair, I've gone through Temptu, and I've gone through the MAC Pro Airbrush colors, and so I kind of wanted to come and share my experiences. The first airbrush system that I purchased was the Dinair, and Dinair has this little compressor that kind of sits, it's probably about yay big, and it's got a little dial on the top. I would show it to you, except I've trashed it, if that tells you anything about what I felt about that compressor. So Dinair has their airbrush makeup in these little bottles here, and every airbrush makeup is going to come with a little bead. You can kind of hear it, because what happens inside the bottle is it's kind of like those little kid paints where the water or the liquid separates from the coloring. So that's what happens in every airbrush. It doesn't matter if it's Dinair, Temptu, or what the case may be. Dinair airbrush makeup happens to be, at least this portion that I have, don't you guys laugh at me, I'm over 40. Got normal eyesight for a woman my age. Anyway, their very first ingredient is water. And for me, there were a couple of reasons why I've gone through so many different makeups. One, I found that Dinair was too red, and it didn't matter how long I wore it during the day, it never settled into the skin, and never adjusted to your oil or to your actual pigment color. The other thing is I do a lot of walking outside during the day, for my day job, and I live in Florida. So part of the reason that I started experimenting with airbrush makeup was because I needed something that was going to stick into place. This does not. Being water-based, as soon as you start sweating, you start looking splotchy, so you're red and splotchy, which is never, ever, ever a good look. It's usually why people are using foundation in the first place, to cover up that kind of thing. So Dinair sent me, when I ordered their system, it came with a lot of other little different colors. It came with like 4 or 5 different colors, and I could never get even mixing and blending, and I even sent for a picture to them so they could tell me what colors I needed to mix, and it just never seemed to work for me. But they did send me a gold shimmer type airbrush makeup, and they sent one that was clear that makes you look like you're dewy. I do like those. I will occasionally wear those. I'll highlight or use the yellow as a bronzer on top of what I've chosen to wear permanently. So that was what I thought of Dinair. By the time I decided I was going to test out Temptu, I decided I really needed a real airbrush and a real compressor. So instead of the little compressor that Dinair sent me, which again, to me really didn't work. It came with a plastic air tube, and it was just, for lack of a better term, it was kind of useless. So what I did was I actually went out and I bought a Salon Air. I ordered this on Amazon, by the way, and I'll put the link below for those of you that might want to use this. But it's what you see a lot of times in your nail salons if they do the airbrushing, and it came with a hose and all that good stuff. So it was pretty easy to hook up, and that's kind of what I went with before I got my Temptu makeup. The Temptu makeup came in, again, little bead in the bottle, and it doesn't say what is in it, but I looked for something when I ordered Temptu. I looked for the professional brand makeup, which means it's usually going to be a silicone base, or sometimes it's an alcohol base, and I really didn't want that because that's just a little bit too harsh, and I didn't want it to stick forever, and I didn't want to be dried out, which I'm easily prone to do so here. Anyway, I digress. The color that I have here is actually 009, and SB stands for silicone base. And what I kind of liked this, but I could never get the colors to be the right color for my skin tone. As you can kind of see just looking at the bottle, this is a lot lighter than what, and I was told by a makeup artist that this would be the color that I would need, and that I didn't need to mix. And what I found was this too just didn't work. Something else about the airbrush makeup, and I don't remember if they said this on the video, but when you first put it on, if you would have seen me this morning, you would have gone, what the heck is going on with her skin? It goes on and it doesn't really look like it's the right color. It has to set a little bit, and then your oils and your skin kind of mesh with it. And as you can see, I hope that I look pretty even now. My foundation is airbrushed. And so what I've chosen to use, imagine that, MAC wins, is the MAC makeup. And I have 3 different colors here that I use. One is as a kind of concealer, so it's a color corrector, so it's really orangey. And so when I first start with this, I kind of put this here, I put it here, because us chocolate girls, for whatever reason, whenever it's time to buy foundation, we find that our skin tone is never actually kind of even. There's always darker spots and all kinds of craziness going on. So this really kind of evens me out. This one is called, yes, I'm putting the glasses on again, Burnt Coral. If you can see that, but that's what this one's called, Burnt Coral. And like I said, I use this more for a color corrector in the areas that you would typically put concealer. These two are what I mix for my actual foundation. One of them is NC30, that's the lighter one, NC30, and then the darker one is NW45. And the way that I do this is if I use 3 drops of the NC40, then I use 6 drops of the NW45, and it works really, really well for me. So I liked the MAC products, but what I did is I actually hopped in my car and drove, I live in Tampa, I drove to Orlando to their MAC Pro shop there, and I had a young man, I believe his name was Juan, color match me and tell me exactly what it was that I needed, because between Dinair and Temptu, I spent enough money, wasted enough money on colors that weren't going to work. So I figured if I went into the store, so if you were going to go back and look at the customer service, Dinair color matched me from a picture, and you know that sometimes that's not always going to be the proper color, because cameras, the colors kind of are variant. Yeah, I guess that's what I want to say. So you can't really tell. With Temptu, I talked to a makeup artist that used it. I didn't really have a Temptu rep, so I didn't really feel like I had any help, if you will, where the Temptu makeup was concerned. And at least with the MAC, worst case scenario, I mean, I live in Tampa. It's an hour and a half away to go to Orlando, and they got great outlets, so I can shop, get new shoes, yay, and get new makeup. So at least if I had an issue, I could actually go in and show someone what it was that I had and have them help me and show me what it was that I needed to do to get it corrected. So of the 3 products, I really, really, really like the MAC. Imagine that again. Unfortunately, you can't buy their pro products just off of their website. You actually have to be a professional, or you have to go into a physical location in order to be able to get their product. But again, it's a great product. As far as walking outside and sweating, I have found that, you know, the appeal for airbrush makeup is supposedly you can cry in it, you can sweat in it. Well, I don't care which one it is, if it's water-based or if it's silicone-based. You better not cry too much, you better not sweat too much, because it does obviously come off. And what I found is with the MAC, I have to kind of dab, because, you know, if you wipe, you'll be all streaky. It's not cute. So that's my review on the different airbrush makeups, and hopefully that helped someone. And you guys have a great day. Ciao.